the Everyman Radio podcast, bringing you the best alternative talk, music, comedy, and more.
Music your way.
Every day you got the mask on. Welcome to the masquerade, where everybody in the scene got a part to play. They wear the mask like it's Mardi Gras holiday. You can't tell what's real from what's really fake. You are who you pretend to be, they say. What's in the dark don't spark in the light of day. Know yourself, stand up and just let it play. Take that mask off, you don't need it anyway.
Take your mask off, show me how you feel.
Take it off, y'all.
Take your mask off, I is real.
Take it off, y'all.
Pull your mask off, show me truth and all you feel.
Take it off, take it off, take it off, take it off, take it off,
I is real.
Made in the image of God, you are beautiful, perfectly imperfect. Don't let haters lie to you. Free up your mind, your body, and follow too. Take a stand in the sand, be strong and follow through. They setting up distractions to keep you from acting on your God-given passion. You too different, now mask it. They got some hellified arrogance, asking me to change what I done made perfect.
Take your mask off, show me how you feel.
Take it off, y'all.
Take your mask off, I is real.
Take it off, y'all.
Pull your mask off, show me truth and all you
Take it off, take it off, take it off,
your
take it off,
mask
take it
off,
off, y'all.
I is real. Behind those eyes, who is watching? Behind those lies, watching and over. The mask is your disguise, but someone real is watching. And I'll find you, I'll find you, I'll find you there. Find you
Take it off,
there.
take it off, 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 take it off. Every day you got the mask on, it's a day too long. Every day you got the mask on, it's the same old song. Every day you got the mask on, I know it feel kinda wrong. Cause every day you got the mask on, another piece of you is gone.
Take your mask off, show me how you feel.
Take it off, y'all.
Take your mask off,
Take it off.
I is real.
Take it off, y'all.
Pull your mask off,
Take it
show
off.
me truth and all you
Take it off,
feel.
y'all. So take that, so take
Your
that, so
mask
take that, so
off,
take that.
I is real.
Take it off, y'all. Only the eye.
I is real.
We send it to you.
I is real.
Show me the truth. I know you got it. Tell them again now.
The Everyman Radio podcast interview with Christina Rivera and great new music too.
Welcome, everybody, to this week's episode. We really appreciate you joining us. This podcast really shows us how we can all learn, live, and thrive off of each other. By sharing our knowledge through our conversations, we will impart some knowledge whilst learning ourselves how to progress even further. Here is your host.
Welcome to Everyman Radio.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad to be here. It's a pleasure to meet you too today. It was our first time connecting.
Yes, and thank you very much for your advice and tips here that you've been giving me. And those of you listening won't know. We normally use Skype recording that, and earlier Christina suggested using Zoom, so we're using Zoom today.
Yes.
Which I suppose it's just different because normally using Skype, I know the software I have that runs in the background and normally does record. So just not knowing that little bit of how this is recording and that type of thing is just slightly different. Makes me ever so nervous.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. But what's great about it is that this particular Zoom.us is you can get a free account with them and record up to 40 minutes at a time. So you could do like as many interviews during the day you want, but they can't be more than 40 minutes. And you could do meetings or interviews, and hey, it's free. So after that, it's not free if you have more than 100 people and more than 40 minutes. But hey, it's not bad for a free service, reliable content, reliable, platform.
Yeah, you can't really say the content's reliable, but the
platform. Yeah. Yeah.
And so I asked then, have you actually paid for it?
I did a paid
more than 40 minutes, or will we get cut off in 30 minutes time? And
well, we will probably ask us that you got another 10 minutes before we shut down the recording. They'll probably give us a warning for that before they shut down the video. So yeah, you'll probably see it on the screen anyway. But it's great. Yeah, I used to have their paid service, so I could do more than an hour or more. But then I found I didn't need it because now my interview platform changed. So now I'm doing 50-minute interviews at a time. For one, my audience loved the chop, keep it going, different guests. And then, so I never needed the paid service anymore. So it's been great though. Yeah.
And Christina, then, please tell us then what you do.
Great. Well, for the past 25 years, I've worked in the corporate accounting world. It doesn't sound hugely interesting.
No, it's not. If you've losing connection, I think you've bored me to death.
That's right. You just fell asleep right there on mic. No, but it was sitting there in an office some 12 years ago that I was like, if I do this for the next 30 years, I will blow my brains out. I cannot do this. And
I just, sorry.
Got an image? No.
Two nights ago, I watched, for some reason, I felt compelled to watch the film Office Space.
Ah.
I don't know why, only because it's a classic film I love.
It was a good movie.
And it just reminded me of watching that, actually.
Check it out. If you want to see a horrible working environment, that's it. But no, where I was working was a pretty horrible environment. And, I'm good at accounting. Is it my great love? No. So I started to think about, and my ex-boss started to push me, why don't you do this and make it a business? And I think you'd be amazing at it. So I started to move in that direction. I eventually moved into starting a financial consulting firm that was moderately successful, ended up not being so successful later on. But it drew me to my greatest passion now that I do, which is podcasting, which I didn't even know what the heck a podcast was.
Yeah, lots of people don't.
No, I didn't. And I hired a mentor, and she said to me, just give it a shot. You could use it as a marketing tool for your consulting business. So I did. And within 6 months, I had 45,000 listeners, downloads, and whatever. Wow. And I wasn't even trying. And it was a business show. I figured I'll have other business peeps come on, talk about their business. And then, in the midst of it, share my expertise, thereby also my credibility and my expertise in what I do. So it just turned into a whole nother animal. I've gotten, consulting gigs as well as doing the podcasting, advertising. So it's become its own entity, but it's become a lot of fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so what is the podcasting that you do?
My podcast is called Savvy Business. Now Life Unscripted is a sub show. And basically, it's business owners and successful individuals around the globe who've taken their expertise, their wisdom, and made it into some form of vocation. And they're bringing it out to the world. And while we come on the show, they share their wisdom and their lessons learned in business. Other business owners and other peeps who just want to learn, tune in. And we all learn together. So it's been a blast. And just this past year, it turned to video. So now, just like what we're doing here, it's 15-minute video slots where we chat about all sorts of things, from politics to business to world events, you name it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds great. I didn't know, because I think I did see the website that you have and some of the bio content. I didn't know whether this was more directed for women entrepreneurs. I don't know why I thought that.
Yeah, lately a lot of women have come out, but it's been a mix. It's been a vast mix, yeah. But lately it seems like a lot more women have interviewed with me. It just came about that way, but yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
That's really strange, because I think they should be in the kitchen, cooking and cleaning.
Yeah, a lot of people think that, actually.
I know they do. I do like to bring back traditional values.
Yeah, I think we could use a
Roughly.
little of that, actually. We could use a little bit more tradition. And I think there's this kind of thought that, oh, tradition, old, bad, but there's a lot of good things about tradition. You know, being modest and being moral and all those good things that have been like dropped by the wayside by a lot of Westerner ideals and areas. And, you know, those things make that you have, how do you call it? Standards to live by. I think that's not a bad thing.
Oh yeah, no, I'd agree. Yeah. I would agree.
Yeah. So did you check out any of the shows? Were you able to listen to any?
That's a good question. I'm only giggling there because I know you know the answer to the question. No, you know the answer from what I just said. Mm-hmm. That's a good answer. Which actually, yes, of course, it means no, I haven't. But I think I did listen to just a little bit of one on something or other. I think to get my bearings.
Yeah, something. That one I mentioned about Silicon Valley, I think you'll enjoy it. Since you're into techie stuff, I think you'll find it interesting. Yeah,
no, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Where can people find that?
They can go to lifeunscriptedradio.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you have the list of the podcasts?
Right up there. Yep. Go to Life Unscripted. And we'll have the most recent one right up there in the front, so you can check that out. And yeah.
Okay, that sounds good. No, I like the Silicon Valley one you talked about. So yeah, I might go and have a listen to that. Is that audio or is it video as well? Or?
It's video. Yeah.
Video.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll go and watch that. Nice talking to you. I'm going to go.
Bye-bye now.
Of course, I'm being silly.
Well, you know what, Rich? What's very interesting is we know that the blogging thing originally started with the writing. And many, 15 years ago, I started doing a blog online. It was a written blog. Because that's what generally, before the podcasting and video and audio came out, it was all written, mostly the written word. And so I had just, as a way to get out all my frustrations of corporate life, because, the office, as you saw in the movie, not a fun place all the time. I would come home and write these things I learned from work and the frustrations and la. And it became 101 Mistakes in What I Learned in Business was the name of the blog. Okay. And that got a lot of attention in that people were like, oh, this is awesome. Is it a book? Is it becoming a book? And so just this March, I'm going to be launching that book. And it's going to be, I'm going to turn that blog of those wonderful stories into a book called Having It Made, a journey of this rediscovery and purpose. So.
Oh, wow. That sounds fantastic.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun, I think. I think people will enjoy it.
Yeah. So in March?
March 20th.
Oh, gosh. I love that specificness of when you're doing it.
Yep.
Because I'm not. Well, I suppose I haven't. So I'm writing a book myself. I found a publisher of some description of sorts, but not in the publisher that one thinks of when one's writing books. I think there are quite few and far between now where people will pay you to do your writing.
Yeah.
And be your publisher. It's more kind of just a platform to actually get people to help you do the editing and then the final launching promotions of it. That book is Colonel Panic. Colonel, which I give a quick plug for.
Colonel Panic?
Yeah.
Oh, I like it. What's it going to be about?
Well.
Can you share?
Oh, of course, yeah.
Okay.
It's it's what is it? I'm trying not to get too techie because as you wouldn't this is another thing I always say is, well, as you know, and what I mean by that is, as I know, you don't know.
Yeah.
But very few people know that at the base of an operating system is a kernel, just as in a popcorn kernel. And in an operating system, it's actually a very, very important component. It's where all of the very basic instructions at the lowest level come from. And what happened to me was I was working with, so I had my own, I do have my own company, but I was working, in this I was selling learning platforms and doing the hosting of it. I wasn't doing the hosting. A company in the States was doing the hosting of this that I was then reselling, essentially. And I was also paying for a backup service for them. And then the basic idea, I was in Wiltshire, and I was going to these marketing events near Bath. Very nice.
Yeah, I haven't been there yet.
And the marketing events, or just meeting other business people, I really enjoy those. I love showing off and talking to people. And I just bought a brand new 3-piece suit. So I was looking, I think I was getting a bit full of myself, but I looked very smart, very dapper. And I had a friend helping me who was kind of just out of the university. And so he was helping. And he had done coding or systems analysis, programming basics, kind of. That's what his degree was. So I thought, and he agreed for board and lodging to help me out with some of the business ideas.
Cool.
But I was pretty new to it and quite inexperienced. And one day, before I went to this meeting, I said to him, "Oh, Carl, would you mind just installing that piece of software I talked about?" And of course, I hadn't checked it before, and I should never have done that. It was I didn't realize what I'd asked him to install. And what he then installed, he started installing it, but unknown to him, rather like Windows, essentially, it comes up, do you want to delete everything? Do you want to kill yourself? Do you want to broke up the printer? I don't know, whatever. I don't like Bill Gates. I don't like Microsoft. But those little messages that come up, and it's the same when you go low down and you're in a server world, you still get those different messages. Are you sure you want to? Before you install this program, you'll need to delete this. And of course, he didn't know, I hadn't told him. But I was a bit too blasé. But what he had done is actually deleted the server. So I had all these clients, education clients in Scotland, in London, schools, local authorities, councils, and the platforms they were using. And I just had these very interesting, very traumatic conversations with the directors of these companies, one in Scotland, who was finding it difficult for me to explain to them, for me to tell them, I'm sorry, all the websites you have, it's gone. The data has gone.
No backup.
It was like, no matter how many times I told them,
they couldn't believe it.
They couldn't understand it. They couldn't comprehend it. They couldn't accept it. No matter how I explained, they would just say, well, please just put it back. We need the data back.
I can't. It's gone.
It's gone. But
wow.
Yeah. So, and the backup system had suffered. I was told by the host that it had suffered a kernel panic. So because I'd said to my friend that I can just reinstall it off the backups because that's fine, and I was told by the host in the States, oh no, sorry, it's fatal.
Wow, I never heard of that.
Yeah, you don't want to.
No.
You
Wow.
really don't want to.
Wow. I thought my thing was bad. All I did was lose like a month's worth of interviews because my whole computer got the blue screen and they were on my computer.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought that was bad. No, this is a billion times worse.
We're not maybe not quite so much, but I think it happens to so many people, or that they don't really realize. But the book is, I find it interesting because I try to not really go into the technical detail too much, but I just like to talk about the analogy between my own physical existence and my own kind of kernel breakdown in a way.
Yeah.
At the same time, because of the effects of what's happening and the stress I was under, I just found it very interesting, the parallels between the operating system kernel panic and my own disintegration. It was just and stress, and then rebuilding my life essentially. It was interesting. So what's the book? Kernel Panic, coming to a.
That's amazing though. And it's amazing though, because you know what you had to build, not only your life but also your reputation, because I'm sure it took a hit on people trusting you and businesses saying, whoa, this happened, we lost our data, whatever. That must have been really hard to come back from and build the credibility again.
A good point. And I forget the timeline. It was a couple of years ago. I forget the timeline exactly, but I did essentially want to just give up everything. And I did, essentially. And I moved back home, actually.
Yeah.
So back into, my old parents' house, which I was really too old for.
Yeah.
But I needed that support, actually, at the time.
Yeah.
It was just slowly building that up. So I just went back into teaching, actually.
Yeah.
It's just a string to my bow that I've always kind of kept alive, and I've always really enjoyed it. And I just always loved the saying in teaching, those who can do, and those who can't teach.
Yeah. I don't know if I agree with that though.
No, I know.
Yeah. No, because really, I think when you teach something and you really teach it and just bring that knowledge to another person and have them imbue it, that now you've got it inside of you more than someone that just does it. I think because that's what I learned many years ago when I was learning dance, and my teacher left me for a month while he went on vacation and said, you teach the class. I was like, whoa, this is much harder. Once you had to teach it, now I'm really starting to get into the depths of understanding that subject. Yeah. Yeah.
No, it's true. We teach, we learn. I believe Seneca. Well, there's a few people that tribe to that. That's the wrong word, but we teach, we learn. I think it's a common saying that people are sort of, and it's true. It's very true.
Yeah.
So and then coming back to yourself, what will you be doing then from the book that you're publishing, and the other projects that you're interested in?
Yeah. Well, this book started because I'm looking for a way to really bring out the brand and get people to understand what we do at Savvy. And really, it's like what we just talked about. It's what we've learned ourselves that we impart to the world, and then they teach their wisdom or share their wisdom. We all learn from one another. And the 101 mistakes and what I learned in business was really all my greatest mistakes and what I learned from them. And so, we all have our own stories, our own lessons learned that we can share with each other and learn from them. I mean, there's this really good Fly magazine. There's a segment of Fly magazine, one of my favorite magazines, and it's called what's it called? What Not to Do in the Cockpit or something. I forgot the name of that segment, but there's a segment of the what I learned from that. Yeah, that's what it's called. What I learned from that. And basically, it's pilots who screwed up really bad and either had accidents or things didn't go well, and they almost could have killed themselves or did kill themselves. And from these lessons, you realize, okay, I don't want to do what that person did in the cockpit because I don't want that result. So it's really a great lesson thing that when I read it, I'm like, okay, when I go with my husband or I fly the plane, because I've studied flying, I'm not going to do that mistake. Yeah. So, and it's the same thing with, I feel it's really, you could take the lessons that you've learned or other people and be like, you know what, I'm not going to do what they did. I'm going to do it differently. So hopefully I don't have that outcome.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
That sounds great. In my own dream world, I think about, I'd love to start flying.
You should. Never too late. Never
Really?
too late. Never.
I did have lessons once.
You did? Did you like it?
I think I was quite inactive, really. I suppose I didn't really know what I was doing. I suppose I'm used to a car, which is instantly responsive, and you know what you're doing. With a plane, you don't really know much about it. Just flaps around a bit.
It takes some time. And it's not just the aircraft that, because you have to know it a lot more, because you can't just pull over to the side and, you have to go through a pattern, talk to air traffic control and land. It's just a lot more procedures and stuff than just getting in a car and moving. But the actual mechanics aren't as hard as all the bits that go into it, weather, ATC, communications, the airspace, which you can't really see, but there are maps and you have to understand. So it's all of that makes it a little bit more complicated. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
But never too late. Consider.
Well, it's true, but I can't decide. A helicopter. Oh yeah, helicopter or a plane.
Well, helicopter's a lot harder. Rotary, a lot harder.
Okay,
Start
so
with fixed wing.
helicopter it is then.
Yeah, all right. Go for it.
Well, only because I love the old shows from the States. Airwolf.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well,
I just thought that was cool. I'm just trying to think.
but you know what's really good, Rich, is that when you work with helicopter and you learn it well, there's a lot for you to do with that. They have a number of rescue mission places that you could work with that need help. And as a pilot, if you learn to be a rotary pilot, a helicopter pilot, you could, volunteer and support volunteers, and you could go into tight places because you don't need to land there. You could just, yeah. So it's a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, that's a good idea. It's interesting though, because you say those ideas and thoughts, and I think, oh dear, I don't actually want to do something with it.
I just want to learn it. Yeah.
I don't know. That's a long way off for me.
Yeah.
Please tell me then just more about the guests that you have, and who's been the best, most interesting guest, or the most. Well, I'll stay there. Yeah, the favorite.
Oh man, I've had I think a lot of my guests are super interesting, but what I found the most interesting that we started 2 years ago is we started to bring the guests onto video, and because a lot of our audience was like, hey, we like seeing the guests and seeing your emote and whatever, and so we tried a project where we would go and take we actually built a stage in the backyard. A stand-up stage, and we put in a truck. We took it to Manhattan, and we created a business event where I would interview a business guest of varying sorts, where it could be sales or marketing, you name it, and we'd have a live audience, and then afterward a business networking event. And it actually went on very well. People really enjoyed it. We charged for the interview because it was a video. We hired someone to do the video. It was professionally done. They get to keep the video. And of course, they got the event where they got to meet new business owners. So we charged for it. But oh my gosh, the work that went into it, filling the seats, doing the videos. I was like, after my 10th one, I'm like, this is killing me. I can't continue. That's how we ended up doing the 15-minute segments online, because now people could come on. They didn't have to pay. We get sponsors. It's a lot easier. But the networking event we might bring back, but it was a fun thing to actually bring the community together and have business owners connect right there in person, which, you can't replace with online. Online's awesome, phone's awesome, but sometimes just meeting head to head with other business owners and making those live connections, you can't beat live sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are among my favorite. Paul Mlajenovic, if you check him out online on our website, we had that live event. That was great. Rochelle Kana was great. We did that in Manhattan. So a number of them are live and were a lot of fun.
Yeah. That sounds great. And you say Manhattan. Whereabouts are you based then?
I'm in Brooklyn, New York. We're talking from Brooklyn, New York. Forget about a town. That's where we are. That's where I'm living right now. So the studio right now that you see, the stage is behind the screen, is right here in Brooklyn, New York. But what's great about it is we built the stage in 6 segment wooden parts. So they're like 2 feet high and 2 feet wide. And we made 6 squares in the backyard, and we put them together, put a nice little rug on top and some furniture. And that's the module parts we throw into the truck when we take it to Manhattan. Or we actually turn the whole studio here into a studio itself, and we put like curtains all around, and we've done live events here and invited people to Brooklyn as well. So,
wow.
Yeah.
That sounds great.
Fun. It's a lot of fun. You got to come on down. I can interview you here.
Wow. That sounds
come on
fun.
over to Brooklyn.
I'd love to. One of the things I'm terrible at is, I say terrible, maybe it just doesn't interest me, moving bits around. When you're talking about sets and what have you.
Yeah.
It's taken me a long time to put a
screen
behind me.
Yeah.
And you can see, I think, it stops here, but it shouldn't. It's only because I did it a couple of days, and it's just kind of, it's an old inheritance. And I think you can just put the screen the other way up.
Yeah.
I can't work out how to do it though. So that's why it's just kind of half at the moment.
Yeah.
But it will get there.
No, it looks great. And it's amazing what a little screen does, because, beforehand I had the stage behind me, I had to pretty it up, and it was like, oh, what's that behind you? That's the stage we take on the road, and sometimes not. But it's great because you instantly put it up. We fix the lighting right around the screen a little bit, turn on the boom and turn on the camera, and we're good to go. It's really, once you have it set, you let it just sit there. It's not too cumbersome to, record and go.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. And it's just interesting. You say lights. That's another thing I would never think about, really.
Yeah. Well, thank God my husband, he's an artist and a graphic designer. He actually has helped with the lighting and the camera because he's brilliant with the visual stuff. I'm auditory learner. I'm kinetic. I like to touch and feel, and that's how I learn, by doing. But he's totally visual, a master in that area. So
oh, wow.
He's the reason it looks fabulous.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. I'm not so artistic in that way. I am, and I'm always very impressed with artists who actually do.
I know, me too.
Just like one of the first podcasts of last year we had with Sebastian, oil painting.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, because I just found it incredible. Because I didn't really understand. Well, it's just painting, but I didn't really understand just the work.
It's amazing.
And I think, the amount of work visually he does, or artists do, and just some tones of paint and things like.
And the lighting, and my husband said to me, really, in painting and the world of art, it's really about all the dynamics of lighting, how light hits things. He said in real life, when you look at an object, it doesn't have an outline. When people used to paint outlines, they don't have outlines in real life. It's shades of lighting. I was like, wow, it's so fascinating. But me, I see a picture in my mind. I can't put that picture to paper or to a canvas. I just can't. And he'll say to me, "Oh, don't you see this?" when he's setting up my light. I'm like, "No, it looks the same as when I try to do it." But yeah, it's just I'm not visually inclined that way.
No, that's great. And I'm only going to say this because it's a strange thought that just came into me.
Tell me.
I'm a mind reader. Of course, I'm not. I'm going to guess the object you are thinking about that you could paint.
Okay.
I've got it.
Okay.
Are you thinking of it? Sorry, I'm being so silly.
Let's see
It's a car.
Actually, I was thinking of the ocean. A little off. Just a teeny bit.
Oh dear, and my glasses fell off. Oh well. Yeah, I should stop that.
Well, I love water. It's if I could live anywhere, it would be right on the beach by the ocean.
Oh yeah, I think a lot of people would. Yeah.
Oh, it's gorgeous. I can't swim, but I love the ocean.
Really?
No, I can't.
Oh goodness.
No, I must learn someday. It's so sad. But
Well, you're never too late.
that's right. If I can fly a plane, I can learn to swim.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
that'd be fun.
I think because I spent most of my life, or a good portion of my life, in Manhattan or the city, and in the jungle, the concrete jungle. Not a lot of places to swim. So.
Oh, of course, yeah.
I mean, we do have water around it, but it's kind of dirty.
Yeah, a bit like America.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Parts of it, for sure.
Yeah, of course, parts of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Go inward is a lot prettier.
Pardon?
You go inward where there's trees and nature, it's a lot prettier. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, that's very true. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. And are you working on anything coming up?
Well, the book will be a really big thing for me this year. We're going to promote that. It'll come out March 20th. So we're going to focus on that. And then the next big thing that I'm really excited about is my husband and I are relocating to Texas.
Wow.
Yeah, and here's the kicker. It is in Houston, so it's going to be near water. Woohoo! I'm excited to be near water, but also near a lot of wonderful folks that we interviewed last year that came on the show live in the area. So we've already connected with a bunch of folks. And what's wonderful about Texas and especially Houston is that there's no real estate tax. A lot of, I don't know if you know about America and the different states, but a lot of the states have this insane real estate tax that if you own a house, it's just insanity how much you pay, especially in New York City, to have a house, to taxes. Mm-hmm. So there's no real estate tax, and it's bigger, like you get a lot more for your buck, if you know what I mean. Yeah, so we're excited about that. And when we move there, we're having a 2-bedroom apartment we're starting with. We don't want to buy to start. We're going to have our studio right there in the city so people can come on down and come on the Savvy stage. So we're really looking forward to it. Wow.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic.
Yeah. So, if you hurry up, you can come to Brooklyn. If not, I'll see you in Houston.
Oh, wow. Oh, no, thank you. Yeah. No, I'd love to.
Yeah. Have you visited the U.S.? Have you gotten to visit any of our states?
Well, yeah, I lived in Toledo, Ohio, for a year.
Okay.
So when I was studying
mm-hmm.
Our degree, I was at Salford, mm-hmm. Manchester, and we had a forget the word. Mm-hmm. I do forget the word. But a part of our degree, we had exchange, yes. So some Toledoans came to Manchester, and we a same group, we went to Toledo, Ohio.
Oh wow! I've not been there. Is it
good?
It's nice. Oh, okay.
Well, it's funny. Everyone everyone who it comes up to, and they said, "What? Why did he go to Toledo?" It's really kind of holy Toledo.
I've never been there. Yeah.
Yeah, you're not missing out much.
Okay.
Well, I just remember it had lots of fast food restaurants, but
not my thing. Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it.
That's great.
I guess, I wouldn't really know much about describing it or.
Yeah.
But it was for being a Brit.
Yeah.
I think I was 19.
Oh, okay.
Or 20. No, I was 20. Oh, yes. I just had the constant reminder, 21 in the States. You need to be 21 to drink.
That's right. Yeah.
But I would just be very British.
Yeah.
And I would just say, yeah, no, I'm British.
I am 21. Yes. But it's interesting, Rich. I grew up from a family where we made wine and beer.
Oh, wow.
Because my very formative years were in Virginia. So my dad made wine, he made beer, and they're German background. So with dinner, we'd have wine every day, like a little bit, like an inch. And it wasn't a big deal. And it wasn't until we moved to New York when I was in my teens that people are like, ooh, alcohol, no. I'm like, what are you talking about? I've been drinking alcohol my life. It's not a big deal. But it wasn't like we got plastered. It was like, we have a little alcohol with, a little wine with dinner, no biggie. And then when we became of age, people around me became of age, they were like, ooh, I'm going to get plastered. I'm going to go out and get drunk. I'm like, I don't care. I don't need to drink. Alcohol's not a big deal for me. I think and having it not stigmatized in my family made it not a big deal. So I didn't care.
Yeah, no, that's very true. It's a very good point. It just makes me think, France, Europe, where, people go out, families will go out and eat and drink, and it's just part of the culture.
Not a big deal. Yeah.
Whereas, England, because you have the law, you need to be 18.
Oh, 18,
before you can drink. So reaching that point where you can suddenly drink suddenly becomes a really big thing.
I know.
You put far too much weight into it and then lose far too many years of your life afterwards when you do discover this thing that,
Yeah. I think it kind of helped me that my parents didn't stigmatize it. They had it around. We were like, it's no biggie. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense.
Well, look us up. Look us. My email, and it would be great if you ever do come to the States. You can come visit. My husband is a pilot, so we could take you on a flying tour. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds fantastic. And likewise, if you ever want to come and visit our little rainy island.
Oh, yay. I haven't been there in 12 years, but when I came, I went to two places. I went to London and then Kent. And Kent was, wow, that was amazing. I went to the countryside for a couple of days. It was beautiful.
Okay, yeah, nice. I'm not far from Kent here.
Oh, yay.
It's, next county, I think. We're in West Sussex, I think. Well, I don't have a map in front of me. I know Kent is, just the other side. It's all very similar, really, kind of.
Yeah.
Green and cows and.
Green and cows and rain. Yeah.
Yeah, but less concrete than Manhattan.
Oh, yeah. It was a nice.
And less people.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I think that must have surprised you. I think just seeing how very few people live here.
Yeah, it was nice. And what it was, we were blessed because the church we know, we're very close, the Catholic Church, and they have a convent not far. And they said, well, you could come stay with the nuns. I was like, really? So that's what we did. We stayed in a 700-year-old tower at this convent, this Catholic convent. And it was magnificent. We climbed up this little, tower all the way to the top with a little rope thing, big, stone steps all the way to the top. And the room they gave us had a teeny little sink and a cot and this whole big hole in the wall, the stone hole in the wall that was the window. And you look out to this beautiful lake. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm never going home again.
Yeah, no, that sounds fantastic.
It was gorgeous.
That sounds great. Yeah. So, it's just been fantastic talking with you. And please tell our listeners, viewers, I can say viewers, how can people get in touch with you and see the work that you're doing? And
absolutely, yes. They can go to unscriptedradio.com. We're also at savvybusinessradio.com, so they can go to either those places, hear all of our interviews, and have a blast. And if they want to chat with me specifically, go to ChristinaLifeUnscriptedRadio.com.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's fantastic. We'll put the links under here.
Right there.
No, that sounds great.
Thank you so much, Rich.
And there was one thing I did think. When you mentioned sponsorship, you talked about, you built the sets in different places, and you talked about sponsors. Now, there's one thing that's interested me, because I've never been able to get sponsors for our show.
Wow. Yeah.
But I suppose it's because I've just found it. I'm just doing so many different things, and I kind of just thought that would kind of evolve organically in a way. But
no, you got to go get them, unfortunately. Yeah, it's really a go get them thing. What ended up happening for me is that I was doing the show, like I said, within 6 months, we had 45,000 listeners, and I wasn't trying to promote it too hard. So it was on Blog Talk Radio, it started.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then a lot of the guests, it was really at that point a lot of launch businesses, people just coming out of the gate, just starting their business. They came on as guests, and they told me after they came on the show that they were getting leads and sales. And I was like, wait a second, there's something wrong with this. You're getting money from this transaction of me spending my time interviewing you, and I'm not getting anything from it. So what I initially did is I charged the launch businesses to come out and promote their products and services and business. I charged them an ad fee. I think I charged them like $150 interview, half-hour ad, promo, whatever. And they came on, and that's how I started getting guests. Now, over time, as my platform grew and I started to get bigger guests, like some guests have been on ABC, Fox, or huge businesses that really don't need my platform. They actually had enough of a presence and influence that they're like, hell no, I'm not paying you. I don't pay NBC. They pay me. So at that point, then I would say, okay, I have 70,000 listeners or 100,000 listeners. Here I meet your segment, your audience. And then that time I would actually just sell ad space. So they would, present an ad for their upcoming campaign or whatever. And we do that. So it's kind of morphed into that now.
Okay.
Yeah. But if you're ever interested, Rich, I check out advertisecast.com. They called me about 1.5 years ago, and they've been chasing up people for my show where I don't have to go get the sponsors. They come to me, and they go look for people that match my show, my podcast. And if it match, they connect, they do everything, and then they take a 30% cut, but they give you the rest.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's something to look into.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. I'll have to, I'll make a note of that and investigate. No, that sounds great. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, no, thank you. It's been wonderful. Yeah, wonderful talking with you.
Thank you so much, Richard. I really appreciate it.
Oh, I loved it. Yeah, really good. And good luck. And I wish you all the best for this new decade. I haven't quite got the hang around.
Yeah, have a wonderful 2020 and God bless. Thank you so much for having me on today.
Oh, yeah, quite welcome. Great. Yeah, talk soon. Bye.
Bye.
Music your way.
Whether it's for better or for the worse, as long as we're together, we'll make it through this. I knew that it was true from the very first time I kissed your lips. I know every day is a new adventure, and sometimes you may feel like giving up, but you just gotta look back and remember what we're made of. I'll stay by your side. Storms are raging, I will hold you close tonight, and I won't let go until the morning light. I'll stay beauty that goes deeper than the surface. I've waited my whole life to find someone who gives love a purpose. I'll stay by your side. When storms are raging, I will hold you close tonight, and I won't let go until the morning light. Oh, I'll stay by your side. I won't let go, I won't let go. I won't let go, I won't let go. I hope you know, I hope you know that I won't let go, I won't let go. I'll stay by your side. I will hold you close tonight until the morning light. Oh, I'll stay by your side.
Thank you for listening to Everyman Radio. If you enjoyed this episode, please share with your friends on social media.
Goodbye.